1,000 years after a demon wiped out the mightiest dwarven kingdom, Balin led his people back, fully aware that something still haunted Moria. Legend called it Durin's Bane, but almost no one could say for sure what that meant. Was Balin brave, reckless, or dangerously misinformed? The truth starts with what the dwarves actually remembered, and what they chose to risk everything for. In the closing years of the second millennium of the Third Age, Khazad-dûm stood as the unmatched heart of dwarven civilization. Its halls stretched for miles beneath the misty mountains, filled with the echo of hammers and the glint of mithril. In 1980 that rhythm broke forever. Deep in their search for mithril, the dwarves disturbed a power buried since the Elder Days, a being later named Durin's Bane. King Durin VI, ruler of Khazad-dûm, was the first to fall. The next year, his son Dáin I also perished, struck down as the dwarves tried to hold their ground. The survivors abandoned their home, leaving behind not just their wealth, but the very seat of their identity. The loss was more than a defeat. For Durin's folk, Khazad-dûm was the place where their oldest legends were born. Now the empty halls became a warning whispered across generations. The doors were shut and the name Moria, Black Pit, spread among elves and men alike. In the centuries that followed, the dwarves scattered. Some found shelter in the Grey Mountains, others in the Iron Hills or far off Erebor. But none forgot the shadow that drove them out. As years turned to centuries, the details of that disaster began to slip. The Balrog that slew 2 kings faded from sharp memory into a story passed down in fragments. For over 1,000 years, from 1981 TA to 2989 TA, no dwarf claimed Khazad-dûm. The once great city stood silent, its gates sealed by fear and by loss. Tales of the terror remained, but the facts blurred. What began as a catastrophe with names, faces and dates became a legend spoken in warnings and half-remembered songs. By the time Balin's generation looked toward Moria, more than a millennium had passed since Durin VI's death. The gap was not just in years, but in certainty. What had once been a clear, immediate threat became a memory, powerful but distant. The halls of Khazad-dûm waited, empty but never forgotten, as the shadow beneath the mountain became less a monster and more a name. That gulf of time would shape every decision that followed a 2,799 as the last echoes of battle faded outside Moria's east gate. Dáin Ironfoot stood at the threshold and looked into the darkness. What he saw or sensed left him pale and silent. Dáin's words would be remembered. Beyond the shadow, it waits. Durin's Bane. He offered no description, no catalogue of powers. For those who heard him, the warning was more omen than intelligence report. A shadow, blacker than darkness, still inhabiting the halls. The dwarves understood that something dreadful remained, but its nature was wrapped in mystery. The Elves of Lórien, just across the Silverlode, spoke even less clearly. Celeborn called it a terror, hinting only at a nameless force awakened by the dwarves' delving. For the Sylvan Elves, the danger in Moria was not a creature with a known history, but a shadow to be avoided, a whispered presence in the deep. No one offered a name or a lineage. The fear was real, but the details had faded. Even among the wise, direct identification came slowly. When the Fellowship entered Moria in 3019, Gandalf spoke of older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world. Only when Legolas confronted the creature did he identify it, shouting that a Balrog had come. Gandalf then confirmed the name, but for most of the Third Age, that word was absent from daily speech. The dwarves called it Durin's Bane, the elves called it a nameless terror, and the rest of Middle-earth thought of it simply as evil in Moria. The gap between experience and label left room for confusion. Dáin's warning was passed down as a solemn phrase, not a field report. Celeborn's words too circled around the truth without naming it. The first explicit use of Balrog in the context of Moria comes only at the moment of crisis, centuries after Dáin's encounter. This difference between knowing and naming shaped every attempt to reclaim Khazad-dûm. For generations, dwarves remembered the shadow, but not all agreed on what exactly waited in the dark. When filmmakers later told the story, they compressed these layers into a single visible monster, the Balrog as the face of Moria's doom. But in Tolkien's world, the terror was always more than a name, and for Balin's generation, that lack of certainty was as dangerous as the darkness itself. Balin did not go to Moria because a Balrog was confirmed there. He went because a millennium after the disaster, the danger had become a name. Durin's Bane, and names can feel conquerable. After the Battle of Five Armies in 2941 TA, Erebor was no longer a memory of lost glory. It was alive again, bustling with trade and the sound of forges. Dwarves who had grown up on stories of exile now walked the halls of a restored kingdom. In this climate of renewal, old ambitions found new fuel. The longing for Khazad-dûm, the greatest of all dwarf realms, stirred in the hearts of Durin's folk. For them, Moria was more than a ruin. It was the birthplace of their people, the seat of ancient kings, and the heart of their identity. Balin, already a lord in Erebor and a veteran of past wars, felt that pull more than most. The memory of Thrór's death in 2790 TA and the mystery of the lost ring of Thrór still weighed on the elders. The ring, once a symbol of kingship and hope, had vanished when Thrór entered Moria alone. Some believed it might still lie hidden in the depths, waiting to be recovered by the rightful heirs. For Balin, the chance to reclaim not just gold or mithril, but a piece of his people's soul was worth the risk. By 2989 TA, optimism ran high. With Erebor thriving and Dáin Ironfoot's reluctant blessing, Balin gathered a company of dwarves and set out for Moria. The plan was bold. Enter through the east gate, drive out any orcs and re-establish a dwarven colony in the halls their ancestors had built. The expedition was not a desperate gamble. It was the next step for a people who had already turned legend into reality once before. In their minds, if Erebor could be reclaimed from a dragon, perhaps Moria could be won back from the darkness as well. Balin's colony entered Moria in 2989 TA with hope and determination. For 5 years, their records show a steady push. Orcs cleared from the east gate, halls reclaimed, ancient relics recovered. Messages sent back to Erebor spoke of progress and prosperity. The dwarves believed they were restoring more than a city. They were reviving a lost legacy. But on 10 November 2994 TA, that dream ended. Balin, standing beside the Mirrormere, was struck down by an orc arrow. The leader's death sent shockwaves through the colony. Orc armies, sensing weakness, surged against the Great Gate. The dwarves fell back, sealing themselves inside the halls they had fought so hard to reclaim. The Book of Mazarbul, found later by the Fellowship, preserves the final days in broken lines, desperate battles in the Second Hall, names of fallen companions, and the relentless beat of drums in the deep. The last defenders retreated to the Chamber of Mazarbul, where they buried Balin and made their last stand. Ori's hand recorded the closing words. "We cannot get out. They have taken the bridge and the Second Hall. Fra and Lonnie and Nali fell there. The pool is up to the wall at Westgate. The Watcher in the water took Oin. We cannot get out. The end comes. Drums, drums in the deep. No mention of the Balrog appears in these final records. The immediate threat was orcish force, overwhelming numbers, relentless assault, and the closing jaws of the Watcher in the water." By the time Glóin reported to the Council of Elrond in 3018 TA, the only certainty was silence. The colony's fall was not a mythic catastrophe, but a siege, brutal, direct, and final. In Middle-earth and beyond, danger rarely wears its true name. Today, legends still blur the line between warning and wishful thinking. When memory fades into myth, the risks we inherit become rumours, until reality makes them undeniable. Some doors, once opened, never truly close. Share your thoughts below.